Let me ask you something. How many times have you been held back by self-doubt, rejection, or the fear of not being good enough? In a world that constantly tests us, we can either let life break us, or we can rise above with strength, purpose, and resilience. That's what this video is all about: mastering rejection and using it as a launchpad to become unstoppable. But before we dive in, I've got a small favor to ask. Over 98% of you who watch these videos haven't subscribed yet, and each subscription helps us reach more seekers and build a community dedicated to resilience, wisdom, and self-mastery. If you find value in this video, please hit that subscribe button and help us grow. And if there's someone you know who needs this message, share this video with them. Let's inspire them too. Now, let's dive into the power of turning rejection into your greatest strength. Lesson 1: Embrace rejection as a training ground. Rejection is an unavoidable part of life. Rather than letting it bring you down, view rejection as a crucial phase of growth, like a warrior going through rigorous training to become battle-ready. Life throws challenges your way to refine your strength, much like lifting weights builds muscles. This adversity isn't there to break you, it's there to help you grow, build resilience, and sharpen your focus. Imagine an athlete who trains tirelessly for a competition. Every push-up, every mile, and every drop of sweat is a step toward improvement. Rejection is just another training tool in your journey, preparing you for the bigger challenges ahead. This mindset allows you to reframe rejection from a setback into a stepping stone. When someone says no, consider it as practice in the art of self-empowerment. Each rejection pushes you to dig deeper, to try harder, and to redefine your strategies. Think of it as feedback, not a personal attack. Instead of questioning your worth, question what this rejection is trying to teach you. How can you approach things differently next time? Where can you improve? By asking yourself these questions, you're turning rejection into a valuable learning experience rather than an emotional blow. Over time, this perspective strengthens your character and helps you become less reactive to negative outcomes. Instead of shrinking back, you'll start to lean into challenges. Every rejection will feel less like a personal defeat and more like a test that builds resilience. When you become accustomed to facing rejection without losing your sense of self-worth, you build a mental toughness that becomes unshakable. Just as a muscle grows stronger with resistance, your mind will grow stronger with each rejection, and you'll emerge resilient, prepared for any obstacle. Ultimately, facing rejection is an opportunity to hone your skills and grow your inner strength. When you learn to handle rejection calmly and objectively, you gain control over your emotional responses. Instead of reacting with anger, frustration, or self-doubt, you learn to respond with maturity and composure. This process builds a foundation of inner peace and self-confidence, making you unbreakable in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Embrace rejection as a necessary training ground, and let it guide you toward becoming the most resilient version of yourself. Lesson 2: Shift from approval seeking to self-acceptance. It's human nature to seek approval, but relying on it can lead to constant disappointment. One of the cornerstones of Stoic philosophy is the practice of finding worth from within rather than from external sources. Imagine you're constantly adjusting yourself to meet the expectations of others, hoping that they'll validate you. The result is often that you feel empty and unsatisfied because others' opinions fluctuate and are outside your control. Stoicism teaches that if your self-worth hinges on external approval, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Instead, anchor your worth in self-acceptance. Take the example of Socrates, a renowned Stoic figure who was criticized and even ostracized for his unconventional ideas. Rather than bending to public opinion, he stayed true to his beliefs, understanding that his self-worth didn't depend on others' approval. His resilience teaches us that the opinions of others are often fleeting and unreliable. When you base your self-worth on what others think, you're constantly vulnerable to their whims. Shifting towards self-acceptance builds a sense of peace that no amount of external validation can replicate. To make this shift, begin by practicing self-reflection. Take a moment to assess who you are, independent of others' opinions. Recognize your strengths, accept your weaknesses, and acknowledge your progress. Remember, personal growth is a journey, and seeking approval at every step can become a distraction. When you shift your focus from pleasing others to fulfilling your own potential, you become more self-reliant and less affected by rejection. This mindset gives you the freedom to pursue what truly resonates with you, regardless of others' judgments. The more you practice self-acceptance, the more resilient you'll become to rejection. Instead of crumbling when faced with criticism, you'll see it as constructive feedback, an opportunity to refine your path. By prioritizing self-acceptance over external validation, you cultivate inner strength that stays with you through life's ups and downs. Ultimately, you'll find that the peace and confidence derived from self-acceptance far outweigh any temporary sense of validation from others. In this way, you'll be able to handle rejection with grace, knowing that your worth is defined by you, not by the fluctuating opinions of others. Lesson 3: Turn pain into progress. When rejection happens, it often feels painful, but Stoicism encourages us to view pain as an opportunity for progress. Think of pain as a teacher, guiding you toward parts of yourself that need growth or improvement. Every rejection has the potential to teach you something valuable. Instead of dwelling on the discomfort, ask yourself, how can I grow from this? Consider the story of J.K. Rowling, who faced countless rejections before achieving massive success with Harry Potter. Each rejection pushed her to refine her writing and sharpen her resolve, transforming pain into progress. Channeling pain into progress involves a willingness to adapt and learn. Rejection often reveals areas where we can improve, whether in our approach, skill set, or mindset. Let's say you're passed over for a promotion. Instead of letting that rejection crush your spirit, examine why it happened. Perhaps you need to develop certain skills or take on additional responsibilities. Use the experience to set new goals and push yourself to reach them. By turning pain into a growth opportunity, you're not only learning from the setback but also positioning yourself for future success. Pain can also be a motivator, fueling your determination to achieve your goals. When you encounter rejection, it can ignite a sense of purpose, a resolve to prove that setback wrong. Use this fire constructively, not by dwelling on revenge or proving others wrong, but by proving to yourself that you're capable. Each time rejection happens, remind yourself that you have the power to transform it into fuel. By actively working through your pain, you're moving closer to the person you aspire to be. In the end, pain is only a setback if you allow it to be. When you choose to learn from it, pain becomes a crucial part of your growth process. Instead of being immobilized by rejection, you learn to leverage it as a stepping stone, using every painful experience to sharpen your skills, bolster your resilience, and strengthen your resolve. Embracing pain as a catalyst for progress builds a mindset of continuous improvement, making you not only resilient to rejection but empowered by it. You'll find that setbacks are no longer obstacles but valuable tools that bring you closer to your true potential. Lesson 4: Detach from outcomes. Stoicism emphasizes focusing on what's within your control and releasing attachment to what isn't, a principle that's immensely powerful when dealing with rejection. Often we become so fixated on achieving specific outcomes that any deviation feels like a failure. Imagine an artist who obsesses over every tiny detail in their work, only to have it poorly received. They can either spiral into self-doubt or recognize that their job was simply to do their best, regardless of others' opinions. By detaching from outcomes, you free yourself from the emotional toll of rejection. When you detach from outcomes, rejection loses its sting. If your self-worth is no longer tied to external validation, you're less affected by others' responses to your efforts. Instead of feeling devastated when things don't go as planned, you can view rejection as neutral feedback, not a personal attack. This mindset allows you to continue striving without the fear of failure, knowing that the process itself is valuable regardless of the result. This perspective builds a sense of peace and steadiness as you learn to remain unaffected by things outside your control. This practice is easier said than done, Most of us invest time and energy in our pursuits, hoping for a particular result. But Stoicism reminds us that while we control our actions, the final outcome is out of our hands. The farmer can plant seeds, water the soil, and provide the best care, but ultimately the harvest depends on factors beyond their control, like weather conditions. In the same way, you must do your best without becoming overly attached to the results. By focusing on the process rather than the outcome, you cultivate resilience in the face of rejection. Lesson 5. Practice emotional independence. One of the key aspects of Stoicism is cultivating emotional independence, the ability to remain calm and self-assured regardless of external circumstances. When you encounter rejection, the initial reaction might be a flood of emotions: sadness, anger, frustration, or even self-doubt. However, Stoicism teaches us that these reactions are based on how we choose to interpret events. By practicing emotional independence, you're taking charge of how you respond. Think of yourself as a rock in a stormy sea. The waves crash around you, but you remain steady and unmoved. To build emotional independence, start by recognizing that emotions are temporary and do not define you. Rejection might feel overwhelming in the moment, but it will fade, much like a passing cloud. When you learn to observe your emotions without becoming absorbed in them, you gain the power to maintain your composure. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings, but rather understanding that they are fleeting and often influenced by external factors. Take a moment to acknowledge your reaction, then let it pass. As you practice this, you'll find it easier to detach from the emotional weight of rejection. Emotional independence also means not relying on others to dictate your sense of self-worth. When rejection happens, it's natural to question yourself, but this is where Stoicism encourages you to ground yourself in self-assurance. Think of rejection as a neutral event, something that happened but doesn't change who you are or your value. By developing a strong sense of identity and purpose, you become less vulnerable to the opinions and judgments of others. Your worth remains steady because it's based on your own perception of yourself, not on fleeting external validation. Ultimately, emotional independence liberates you from the emotional rollercoaster of others' opinions. When you no longer rely on approval from others, rejection loses its sting. You'll be able to approach challenges and setbacks with a calm mind and a steady heart. Instead of feeling hurt or dejected, you'll be able to look objectively at each situation and decide how you want to respond. This freedom is incredibly empowering, allowing you to pursue your goals without the constant fear of judgment or rejection. Lesson 6. Focus on what you can control. Stoicism is rooted in the idea of focusing only on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. When faced with rejection, the natural reaction might be to try and change others' opinions or outcomes. However, Stoicism teaches that our energy is better spent on things within our control, such as our actions, responses, and mindset. Imagine you're applying for a job and don't get selected. While you can't control the decision of the hiring manager, you can control your reaction, how you improve, and how you apply for future roles. This shift in focus empowers you to act constructively. When you embrace this mindset, you free yourself from the frustration of trying to control uncontrollable factors. Recognize that other people's decisions, opinions, and preferences are outside your influence. Instead, focus on honing your own skills and actions, preparing yourself to handle similar situations in the future. This approach not only reduces the emotional impact of rejection, but also makes you more resilient and capable in the long run. When you focus on what you can control, you put your energy towards self-improvement, which leads to growth, rather than dwelling on unchangeable outcomes. This principle also encourages you to take responsibility for your actions without blaming external factors. Rejection can often feel unfair, but Stoicism teaches that even in such cases, our response is what truly matters. By acknowledging your role in any situation and seeking ways to improve, you cultivate a mindset that is resilient and constructive. Think of it like a gardener who can't control the weather but can control how they nurture their plants. Focusing on what you can control gives you a sense of peace and stability, regardless of external conditions. In the end, focusing on what you can control allows you to approach rejection from a place of strength. Instead of feeling powerless, you're empowered by the realization that you always have the choice to respond positively. This mindset not only helps you navigate rejection with grace, but also builds a foundation of resilience that will serve you in every area of life. By concentrating on your own growth and actions, you'll find that setbacks lose their power to disturb your peace. Lesson 7. Reframe rejection as redirection. Rejection can often feel like a roadblock, but Stoicism teaches us to see it as redirection, an opportunity to explore a new path that may lead to something even better. Think of rejection as life's way of nudging you in a direction that aligns more closely with your true potential. Picture a sailor navigating the ocean. When the wind changes, they adjust their sails and head in a new direction, knowing that they can still reach a valuable destination. Rejection in this sense is like a shift in the wind, guiding you toward a path that may be more fulfilling or suited to your growth. This reframing of rejection helps you to see setbacks as opportunities rather than dead ends. When you don't achieve a desired outcome, ask yourself, what new possibilities has this opened up? For example, being turned down from one job might lead you to discover a more fulfilling career path elsewhere. By viewing rejection as a redirection, you're opening yourself up to potential paths that you might not have considered otherwise. This mindset fosters curiosity and adaptability, helping you to embrace change rather than resist it. Rejection as redirection also encourages you to evaluate your goals and intentions. Sometimes we pursue something without fully realizing it may not be the best fit for us. Rejection serves as a moment of introspection, inviting us to reassess our direction and priorities. Perhaps you were so focused on one goal that you missed out on other valuable opportunities. This is a chance to pause, reflect, and realign your efforts. By treating rejection as a redirection, you're not only maintaining a positive mindset, but also ensuring that your actions are aligned with what truly matters to you. Ultimately, reframing rejection as redirection helps you maintain momentum even when faced with obstacles. Rather than feeling discouraged, you see each rejection as an opportunity to refine your path and explore new possibilities. This mindset allows you to remain optimistic, resilient, and open to growth, no matter what setbacks come your way. By embracing rejection as a form of redirection, you're ensuring that every experience, even the painful ones, contributes to your journey in a meaningful way. Lesson 8. See rejection as part of the human experience. Rejection is a universal experience, something that every person, no matter how successful, has faced at some point. By viewing rejection as a shared human experience, you can take comfort in the knowledge that you're not alone. It's easy to feel isolated or singled out when you're rejected, but the truth is, everyone encounters this feeling. Think of famous individuals like Steve Jobs, who faced rejection numerous times yet went on to change the world. Understanding that rejection is a normal part of life helps you approach it with a sense of acceptance rather than personal failure. When you see rejection as part of the human experience, it becomes less daunting and more manageable. It reminds you that setbacks don't define you, they're just another chapter in the story of life. By normalizing rejection, you free yourself from the stigma and shame often associated with it. Imagine a mountain climber who occasionally slips but continues to ascend. Each slip is a part of the journey, not a reason to give up. Similarly, every rejection is a momentary pause, not an endpoint. Recognizing rejection as a common experience also allows you to empathize with others who face similar setbacks. It opens the door to compassion, both for yourself and for those around you. When you realize that everyone experiences rejection, you're able to approach it with a sense of humility and understanding. Instead of feeling singled out, you understand that you're part of a shared journey of growth and resilience. This perspective fosters a sense of camaraderie and connection, turning rejection into an experience that unites rather than isolates. In the end, seeing rejection as part of the human experience allows you to approach it with acceptance and wisdom. It reminds you that setbacks are temporary and that everyone encounters them, no matter how successful they appear. By embracing this perspective, you'll find that rejection no longer feels overwhelming or personal. Instead, it becomes a shared experience that teaches resilience, empathy, and humility, helping you to grow as both an individual and a member of the broader human community. Lesson 9. Strengthen your self-image. Your self-image plays a powerful role in how you interpret rejection. If your self-worth is fragile, each rejection can feel like an attack on your character. However, Stoicism encourages you to cultivate a strong self-image that remains unaffected by external events. Think of yourself as a tree with deep roots. While storms may bend your branches, your roots keep you grounded. By building a solid sense of self, you create an inner foundation that withstands rejection without diminishing your worth. Strengthening your self-image involves recognizing your own inherent value, independent of others' opinions. Begin by identifying your core values and strengths. What do you stand for? What are you proud of in yourself? When you're clear about your qualities, rejection doesn't carry as much weight because you know your worth isn't defined by external feedback. This process takes time, but each step you take toward affirming your own worth builds resilience against rejection. To reinforce a positive self-image, practice self-compassion. Rejection can trigger self-critical thoughts, but these only undermine your confidence. Instead, treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend. Remind yourself that rejection is a natural part of life and doesn't diminish your value. By consistently affirming your own worth, you create a buffer against the impact of rejection, allowing you to maintain your confidence and self-assurance, even in the face of setbacks. A strong self-image ultimately allows you to approach rejection with a calm and steady mindset. When you're secure in your worth, rejection becomes a minor bump rather than a major setback. You're able to focus on the lessons it brings rather than on any perceived inadequacies. By cultivating this inner strength, you'll find that rejection no longer shakes your self-esteem, and you'll be able to move forward with confidence, grounded in the knowledge of your true value. This practice also encourages you to view rejection as a catalyst for future successes. Just as your previous accomplishments required effort and resilience, overcoming rejection will only add to your achievements. Each time you bounce back from rejection, you're adding to your story of resilience and strength. Reflecting on these past victories shows you that setbacks are temporary and can even lead to greater success. In the end, reflecting on past successes gives you the confidence to face rejection without fear. You recognize that you've achieved meaningful goals in the past, and there's no reason you can't do so again. By keeping your achievements in mind, you approach rejection with a balanced perspective, seeing it as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. This confidence propels you forward, knowing that rejection is merely a detour on the path to future success. Thank you for joining me on this journey through resilience and the Stoic approach to rejection. Remember, every setback is a stepping stone toward growth and inner strength. If you found value in these lessons, please take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when the next video drops. Let's keep building a community of like-minded seekers striving for self-mastery. Share this video with a friend who could use some motivation. And I'll see you soon with more insights. Until then, stay strong and stay grounded.